Oh, hey, I'm Kevin Wilkerson. I am the college football blogger for pubclub.com. I also have covered college football for various newspapers in the South. I covered Alabama. I covered Auburn. I covered Florida State. I was a beat reporter for a newspaper for South Carolina and Clemson. Not when Clemson was as good as they are now, but South Carolina is about the same. And we've gathered here today to talk about the current status of college football and the season, or not season, depending on which conference you're in. And we have an expert panel of people here to talk about it. We have our moderator, James Hills from mantripping.com. We have Jack Fleming. He's an Uber driver in Columbus, Ohio, and he's going to talk about some of the economic impact and about the stuff that he's going to suffer, as well as all the people that are associated with college football and working, bars, bartenders, all the hotels, all the other stuff that goes with college football. Russ is he's a Hollywood writer, but he also writes about sports. We have Jeremy Swick from the College Football Hall of Fame. Thrilled to have him on from Atlanta, Georgia. John Tomlinson, John probably have to describe a little more than I can. He's been involved in a coaching aspect, right, in every kind of level of football, from PeeWees all the way through the NFL, right, with the Cleveland Browns. And we have, as a featured guest, Emmett Keith Jones, former star player for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm going to jump right in here. I'm not going to hold back. I don't want anyone to hold back. My opinions are very clear about the cancellation, about the Big Ten and the Pac-12 also following their footsteps of canceling the season. I just don't see any way they're going to play in the spring. I think that's just absolutely impossible. I think it's unfair to everybody. And I'm just going to say something here, and we'll jump in. Emmett, I'd like you to lead off after this, but I think it's a very selfish move on the part of the presidents and the athletic directors. They're not thinking about the big picture. I believe the players are going to be safe. They're going to be controlled. They have the best medical care in the world right out their door, right at their fingertips. And to cost all the fans, the spirits, all the people that work or that are employed for college football, I just think it's a selfish move on their part to protect themselves. And that's kind of the general discussion. Emmett, I'll let you lead off as a former player and a big-time Buckeye alumni. What are your thoughts on what's going on?
Well, we first have to understand that it's controversial, right? That's why we're talking about it. I know right now, and it's been 30-some years since I've played, come this time of year, we're ready to go. We strap it on and we go to war, and that's what players do. And we would play whether we're hurt, we're played whether we're sick, whether we had COVID or what have you. So I don't really think the players themselves would hesitate going out and playing. And then there's another part of me that goes, it's so uncertain, we don't know. And then I worry about the fans. You're right. From an athletic standpoint, we have the best care. I mean, if we sprained our ankle before you could get into the locker room, they had someone meeting you halfway and treating you. So the medical care is incredible. And Ohio State leads the nation in that regard. But it breaks my heart because people are already sad and people get fired up and want to have the opportunity to go to a game and get outside of the real world. And those few hours that we have really impacts a lot of people. And financially, it's just crippling. So, if my son was there and on the field, I'd have to ask every single question. But as I understood, the coaches and even Joey Galloway, he thought that we would get the best care in the world, but the uncertainty is just that 1 or 2% that would cause one to hesitate. Of course, every football player would play regardless.
John, from a coaching standpoint, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Man, it's difficult. It's tough because, I've been fortunate. I've seen this from different angles. I believe the NFL is a natural bubble. When I was with the Browns for a year, I paid very little attention to what was going on the outside of those doors because that was a totally different life and preparing for opponents each week. When I go back down to the high school level, the first thing I think of is the legal aspect. Coaches don't want to deal with the parents. and the school administration does not want to have a lawsuit. So that's and I think that's some of what you're getting with some of the colleges, because I've been in that aspect as well, and no one wants to deal with that. And so it could be the fear of that. It could be some internal numbers that they have in reference to who's getting sick and who isn't. You just don't know all of it. And since I'm not in that window now, I don't know, but that's the thing that I immediately think of.
Well, that's the liability is the big part. I just don't think they want to I don't think they want to be responsible in case anything happens, and they're afraid of lawsuits. But that does, to me anyway, from the fan standpoint, even from the player standpoint, it seems to me a very selfish move that, 10 people are making a decision that it's affecting tens and 20 and 50, hundreds of thousands of people. And Jeremy, you from the College Football Hall of Fame, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those time periods in history that's really unlike anything we've ever seen before. I know a lot of times people like to point back to 1918, but they also forget that we had World War I going on. That actually took a little more precedence than even football that time. I mean, you look at, for example, like Georgia, 1917, they didn't have a team because everyone was prepping for the war. And so that's one of those aspects, because I know a lot of people do look back to 1918 as kind of this rallying point, but it was one of those interesting time periods where it's a lot different than it is today, even though the economics were definitely still at play.
Russ, you want to jump in and give us your thoughts?
Well, definitely about the lawsuits. I can't imagine there not being a lawsuit or many lawsuits happening. Whether they play or don't play. As a fan, it's disheartening to not be able to possibly watch all the teams that we like and love and all the teams that we hate to just as the weeks go by to go to the bars and do all these things. But the lawsuits are definitely a thing. The one way that I'm taking with it is I have the NCAA football games on my video game systems. So I've updated the rosters, and I'll either let the computer play certain games and or I'll play myself. So I'm still getting the feel of it, but I just feel that the lawsuits are too much as I want to see the games being played. So they'll figure it out, but maybe the spring is
I don't think you can
a better option.
Go
The spring's just going to affect the pros. And, I was a former agent back in the day. And if I had a first-round pick or a first to third pick, I don't know if I would have him play an abbreviated season or a season in the spring and then turn around and have to perform on the pro level. On what risk would you take? So there's liability all the way around. And but financially, the impact, that's just what I feel bad for. People like, you, Jack, and other people around Columbus and every other Big Ten city, how are they going to make this money back? They probably expanded, right, especially from the winners, and patched up their place and got ready for a great season, and now it's not. And it just seems like we can't get a break. As a business owner, I'm feeling it as well, right? So it's just a crazy time, and unfortunately, we're going to have to suck it up, and football players are going to have to be leaders. We got hurt in high school. We got hurt every level, and we have to pick it up and get going. And, Coach, you know that. And on every level that I've been involved with, you just have to tell kids that the great thing about sports is you get up and you live and you battle and you fight another day as soon as you can be healthy. And right now the country's not healthy. So how can we go out there and ask young people to make this decision? Every one of them would. But then if any of them got hurt, I mean, I had Corey Stringer and some of the other people back who went pro, and they're under the best care ever. And you just worry about overheating. There's just so many aspects. I don't see how they can make a decision to go forward. And then think of the other liability of the other fall sports. that don't generate any income. Football's carrying all of those. So everyone's being affected. And I'm sorry.
Jack, that's all right. Jack,
No.
can you jump in and talk about
Yeah.
the game day atmosphere of Columbus and what you see and how it's going to affect you personally in your wallet, and then all the people that you take, the scene, the tailgate party, the bars too. Bars and restaurants to me are just suffering enough already. And now this is going to be crippling to them. Can you kind of talk about that in Columbus in particular?
It's sort of a double whammy for me because this whole COVID thing has, been going on for 5 months now. And I'm actually a photographer. And while I don't photograph college football, I do other sports. And not a lot of people are calling photographers for work right now. So I've been driving Uber for several years in between everything. I'm in Columbus. I'm at Ohio State almost every day of the week, probably 5 days, 5 nights a week. And, the summer students just left a week and a half ago. We've got fall students coming in now. And, so everybody was getting excited for the fall season with the bars and everything. And the governor has utilized some bars as examples of what not to do because they've broken the rules. And so it's a mix. It's been really uncertain all summer long, but the one thing that everybody's been looking forward to is Ohio State football. And High Street divides Columbus. It's Route 23 through Columbus. It goes north and south through campus. It's where all the college bars are, close, within walking distance of campus. And on a game day, you can barely drive down High Street because there are so many people. You've got 65,000 students. You've got another 108,000 or whatever that fit into Ohio Stadium. You've got all the tailgaters in multiple locations. There's not like one single tailgating area outside the stadium. There are properties all around. And then you've got bars for 100 miles in every direction that, if you got a big screen television and cold beer, people are going to show up there and spend the day. If you're somebody that loves shopping, this is the time to go shopping because there's nobody in the stores because everybody is watching football. I'm watching Ohio State and whoever they're playing, and then they're going to catch all the games before and after too, regardless of conference. And so you've got all these students that are running around the housing area just east of the main part of campus, where all the fraternities and sororities are. They're all in the streets. They're burning cars. They're doing crazy things. And then people go to the game. People do they start tailgating at 7, as most big conference schools do. They start tailgating at 7 a.m., and so as an Uber driver, I'm out there from 7 a.m. until late at night. And, you can only start to imagine the kind of money that comes in, and it's one after the other. I'll have for hours, I will have my next passenger in the queue before I drop off my previous passenger. That's not going to be that way this year. People are not going to know what to do with their Saturdays, this coming fall, and it's just everybody's going to be at a loss. So it's I pick up bar backs and bartenders and servers all day long, going to and from work in the morning and coming home late at night. The good thing is college students like to drink, so they're still going to go to the bars, but it's not going to be the same atmosphere. You're not going to be driving down High Street with your radio on and then the echo of some bar with the same announcer and the echo of that broadcast on the television as you drive by Midway or Ethel and Tank or Ugly Tuna or, Threes or Twos or Little Bar or Outer Inn or the Library or any of the college bars that surround Ohio State. You're not gonna hear that, and it's. I don't think we know what we're gonna do. I'm kind of at a loss of understanding what
are you going to do with all that money in your pocket? You got rent to pay.
Stand on the corner and beg. Stand on the corner and beg at High and Lane, but no.
It's just not the college towns that are going to be affected. It's all across America because, particularly here in Southern California, with so many transplants, there are so many college alumni bars. I love going to the one here in downtown San Diego for Alabama. They call it Tuscaloosa West, and it's almost like being in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It is freaking awesome. And that bar has all been pretty much all shut down since this COVID hit. It's probably going to go out of business. There's a big Ohio State bar out here. American Junkie right in the gas lamp. Emmett mentioned, he's got Buffalo Wings. He's got, several hundred people that go to the games that he organizes. So it's college bars it's bars all over the country as alumni go on Saturdays to watch their team. So college football is unique in that the loyalty of people and watching their team is unbelievable. Of course, I watch all the teams I don't like that are ranked close to Alabama. I want them to lose, but everyone else does. That's part of college football. And Jeremy, I don't know your thoughts on this in Atlanta. You got Georgia Tech, Georgia up the street, but it's a big scene in Atlanta too for college football, and it's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's being from a northern state. Once I moved down here, I realized the SEC and ACC air is different down here. It's it's just something different. Is the best way I can describe it. But just having that passion and excitement right in the city is just something that it's unparalleled. I mean, all across the country, really.
Well, James, you got a question there from Brandon Todd, who I happen to know pretty well. That's a real good question. I personally think, in my opinion, you guys can do it different. They'll get another year of eligibility, but as Emmett said, those in the draft, it's going to change all that stuff up. And you guys can answer that too, Coach and Emmett. I just wonder what it's going to do for recruiting. What about transfers? What if Justin Fields wants to play and transfers back to Georgia, for example? So what do you guys think about the senior athletes and what this impact is going to have for them?
Well, I think the seniors by now have made their noise. I mean, you think of Trevor down in ACC territory. Those guys, they already know 2 years in advance the top 40, 50. But there were other people who are on the bubble who won't get a chance. And that's what you feel for because, as the kid from Joe said from LSU, I mean, as he entered the season last year, he might have been a fifth round draft pick. But as a result of playing his senior year, everything aligned perfect. He becomes the first pick of the draft and, a multi-million-dollar man. So those students who have sacrificed and those players who have sacrificed all their lives for this opportunity, I don't know about that second window because back in the day, I remember Carlos Snow would have been a first-round draft pick after his junior year, and we waited, we hesitated, they x-rayed, found a tumor, and his career is over, So for the young people and having been a sports agent before, I don't know if I would play in the spring, and under these circumstances, I would try to get to the NFL as soon as possible because there you're going to be protected. The players just left on their own running around campus, their lives are probably over as an athlete. I think they ought to stay under the bubble, stay among the family, keep themselves safe and clean and learn what's going on. And we have the best medical facility. So, I wish they could have played, but I just don't believe the spring is possible.
Coach, what do you think about? I think trying to play in the spring is ridiculous. That's just they're putting away. We're gonna start here. We're gonna have this schedule. Now we're not. They keep pushing it back, and they're making a decision about not making one. That's horrible leadership, in my opinion. And John, and Emmett, you guys, it's impossible to play college football in the spring and turn around 2 months later and get ready for fall practice and play in the fall. It's just impossible. Let's not forget, you just don't start up and say, okay, we're going to start on March 1. They need at least 3 weeks of practice. And these guys have not been hit since last December, January. John, what do you think? I think it's ridiculous.
It's going to be tough on the body. I can tell you, I just started at a small college in North Carolina, and it's a Division III school. And so we're having a fall spring ball, if that's what you want to call it.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, so it's 5 weeks. The season starts in the middle of January. Now, for Division III, that's fine. But I will tell you this, those D3 schools in the Northeast, those are going to be interesting games. Now, when it comes to those seniors, Emmett, you're absolutely right. Those guys are not going to play. They don't even play in the bowl games if they know they have draft status. So you can already be for sure that they'll check out They'll be preparing for some type of combine. We have constantly made adjustments. As coaches, we always say we make adjustments at halftime. We make adjustments in the third quarter. We make adjustments late in the game. This is like watching an ongoing game that's getting ready to go into its second overtime. Because the information is the goalpost. I'm sorry, it's constantly moving, and some of it is because they don't have information, possibly, or they're constantly getting different information. Before I took this college job, I was going to help a buddy out in Shreveport, Louisiana, helping coach at his high school. The season was supposed to start in September. Well, now they pushed it to October, but they can practice now. But just like a mule, when you put that carrot out there, it keeps them moving. Well, you know, with players, if we're going to practice for 8 weeks and we're not going to play anybody and they're teenagers, good luck trying to keep them motivated. So it's just difficult right now. But, yeah, it's going to benefit the younger guys in the spring. They're going to play. They're going to get additional reps. And you're right. I'm not sure how that whole thing works with the summer because especially the Power 5 schools, those guys they go home for maybe a week, maybe 2, and they're back on campus for second summer session. So now what does that look like? I mean, you know, more unanswered questions.
And what are you going to do with bowl games, like you said, too? Like, it's just a complete mess.
Right.
That's a great point, Russ. I hadn't even thought about that. But and I'm thinking the contractual obligation and stuff. Well, what's the ESPN going to put on, and Fox and all these places that have the Big Ten and the Pac-12? You know, I don't even know. I don't know if anyone's. I'm sure they're thinking about it and talking about it internally, but I've not heard, you know, how that's going to work out financially. You know, the lawsuits talk about those lawsuits. And I just can't believe that the players are more, you know, are in more danger of being on a football field than they are out spread through the community. I mean, what are they going to do? Go home? Are they going to be on campus? Are they going to be campus? Will be the best spot for him. Jack just said he just dropped off.
In my car, driving somewhere.
Well, Jack, you just said Denison College in Columbus is now you're quarantined for 2 weeks once you're right on campus. Is that right?
Denison University in Granville, Ohio, their freshmen are showing up right now as we speak, and they are quarantining for 14 days. They are, I mean, I don't know how locked down that really will be in reality, but that they're not supposed to come into the community for the first 2 weeks. And they're actually following Ohio State because there are a lot of Denison alumni that were pre-med at Denison and then went to medical school at Ohio State. So Denison's president has been very closely in touch with Ohio State and kind of following in Ohio State's shadows. And I think a lot of other schools like Kenyon and you know, other schools in Columbus are doing, Ohio Wesleyan, Otterbein, you know, other competitive Division III schools are following very much in the same suit. But you've got all these college kids here in their dorms now. You know, they're in a bubble in theory, but you know, I don't think these football players are going to catch COVID on the field, but running around campus and stuff. It's, you know, I don't know what's right. I've been out in the elements since April. You know, knock on wood, I haven't caught anything. I know that's a really arrogant thing to say, or sounds like I don't mean it that way, but you know, I don't know anyone personally, locally, who has had it. So, and I'm probably had 300 people in my car since April.
Well, it's crazy. Lately, you know, having been a teacher and a coach, people are telling me they're losing people and their parents and whatnot. But if you watched Hard Knocks this week, Coach Lynn had it. You know what I mean? And it's so unpredictable who gets it. It's amazing. And, you know, since this thing shut down, I would have gone crazy if I hadn't been able to run around and whatnot. And I just keep a garter on all the time, you know what I mean? Or the gaiters on all the time because you just have to bow down and do it. But my son, you know, he was worried. He had just come through New York, right? And then New York had an outbreak, and then he just left Detroit, and Detroit had an outbreak. So he came, and he, as a young person, locked down. And we've seen a lot of young people here on the West Coast wearing masks and whatnot and really dialing in. But then you go south of LA to Orange County, where it's a little bit more of a free-for-all, and everybody's on the beach, and they're a few feet apart, and they're doing their thing. But you know, this is a once in a lifetime thing, we hope, right? And it is our 9/11, and these young people haven't had to deal with a lot of things. But my son, you know, always reminds me, he said, Dad, you know, we've been at war since I've been a little guy. And that's been pushed so far to the background. And now our wars, you know, consist of this fall and whether we can hate our enemies or whatever, you know, on the football field. But and then the mental health aspect. I mean, Coach Day was talking about seeing his kids when they first came back and how disheveled they were and they weren't a part of a team. I mean, when you think about it, that's been our lifestyle for years, right? And the same routine over and over. And then we have to go home and deal with all these aspects, and you prepared your whole life for this. And now what are you going to do? And, you know, all these football players, I would say most of them have a better life on campus than they would have at home.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that, particularly now. They have training table, nutritionists, and I'm sure they do it at Ohio State, but Alabama, they put all this stuff on them. They monitor every single movement and breath that they take. They're perfectly tuned athletes, and I think, you know, it affects some people differently. Some people catch a cold, some people don't. You know, I'm not saying it's a cold, but, you know, it does react to people differently. And I'm not saying that this is not something to worry about. It absolutely is. You see people suffering every day, and it breaks the heart. But you know, to me, to, you know, have 10 guys affect, you know, hundreds of thousands of people is, you know, to me, I just think it's wrong. Now, Jeremy, what's the mood in the South right now? You're there in Atlanta at the wonderful College Football Hall of Fame, which I really, really want to go to one time. James has been to it, but what's the? Do you have any pulse of the feeling of what the people in Atlanta and the South are saying, particularly, you know, the Georgia folks, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things is I'd love to have all you guys come down at some point when it's okay to do so. But really, I think right now the atmosphere is really, let's just wait and see what they do next, what the SEC, what the ACC does next. I mean, we saw some of the Power Fives already make their decision. And yes, the idea to push on through, I think everyone is just kind of on their heels waiting. I've obviously done quite a few interviews lately, and it's always kind of the same. We want to make sure what day we're talking about this on, because tomorrow all of this news could be out the window and it could be something completely different.
Well, we kind of thought about putting this off for a while, but then we're like, you know, but we're decision makers. We're not like the Big Ten, so we can make a decision. We decided to do it today, and that's why we're doing this today. You like that? You all like that, huh? I'm sorry. You got to make a decision. You know, you're either going to play or not. You can't whisk out and say we're going to play in the spring and keep pushing it back. Make a decision. We're either going to play or not going to play.
Amen. Look, I was a quarterback since I was 12 years old, and I just say you make a decision, you live with it, and you go with it. And that's typically what probably every football player and coach would say. But then the moms have something to say, you know. It just depends on where you are, right? But I just see these little guys as an example. I see these little guys, 5 years old, with the helmet too big. When I went back to Ohio a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? These kids are kindergarten. You know, well, let's start them now. Are you kidding me? Your body can only take so much. I believe athletes, you know, should start later on the hitting and whatnot, so that if they are great, they have an extended career. I only believe you have maybe 10 years of beating. It depends on what time you peak. If you peak late in high school, you're going to have a good career, you know, but if you peak at 13 or 14 and you're a high school hero and that's the end of it, that's the end of it. But this thing is scary, and what you're talking about is leadership, right? And on the football field, we make decisions. You know, you're going to tackle, or you're going to throw, or you're going to option, or you're going to do whatever. So sitting here right now, I just feel so bad for these guys who are ready to go, and then they got the feeling on Sunday it wasn't going to happen, and then they wanted to jump out and try to say, look, we are human beings, you know, feel sorry for us. And when you think about how many people have died, it's been a lot, and it's been a lot of mistakes. But, man, I wish they were able to go. And I really just wish the country was in better shape. That's what we're talking about here, is the change of normality, right? Football, you can count on. We have 11, 12 weeks, and at the beginning of the year, just like a Browns fan, right, you have hope that you're going to be okay. But the reality is we know Ohio State's going to be good, and if we skip a year this year, we're going to be good next year because we've been good over 40 years, right?
Mhm.
And the kids who are on the bubble will stay an extra year and get one more year and then have a chance to go pro. But those other little schools where this is their Super Bowl, this is their last year, this is their opportunity before they go pro and other aspects of their life, you just want that one last shot. Give me one more shot, because now they will always think, man, if I had that one last year and I would have had one extra catch over the middle and beat someone, taking it to the house against Alabama, right? I'm a star and I make money.
You trounced us the last time we played, although I blame Lane Kiffin for all those wide receiver screens in the second quarter. But you did trounce us. Well, that's true, John. I mean, we were pounding them, and then all these wide receiver screens, I was screaming my head off.
But Nick Saban was doing the same thing at the same time.
He probably was. He probably grabbed him by the collar and said, Lane, let's play our game,
But Saban knew in his heart, he had to bow down to Ohio just at least once in his professional career, considering he had ties there, Ohio does demand its loyalty, and it will get it, right? Jack and I will tell you stories forever. Ohio does what it wants. But
Emmett, I was down in Tuscaloosa with Kevin last fall in October doing a project during Tennessee Hate Week, and I saw
Pub Live. Come on, give me a prop. Pub Live.
Yeah, we were shooting Pub Club Live, and we were working with the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority, and we were at several bars there in Tuscaloosa, and I passed two different students wearing Ohio State jerseys on the University of Alabama campus.
Saban wears it under his uniform. It's just a part of who he is, right?
I was going to say you're full of it, but Emmett actually played Urban Meyer and Nick Saban were grad assistants when he was at Ohio State, so he knows what he's talking about.
We love him. Look, we love him. I mean, if Ohio State's not winning, I want someone affiliated with Ohio State winning, right? Because there's so much pride. And like I said, I hated Ohio State and Michigan my whole life. But I went to Ann Arbor, and they loved their team as much as we loved our team. Everywhere you go, that's what brings the country together and football fans together, is their love for their team and the smack talking. There's no quicker way to build a relationship for you to, dig your ditch and say, I will not move from this stance, right? And
let's not forget where Bo Schembechler came from.
We know all the best parts of Michigan are from Ohio.
A lot of the bricks in the big house were made in Ohio.
So, everything good in Michigan came from Ohio. We know that. They didn't even win Heisman trophies unless they were born in Ohio.
Well, you can root for Alabama this year, because Alabama is going to play. The SEC is going to play. The ACC is going to play. The Big 12 announced their schedule that they're going to play. And Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and Coach, you too. Russ, anyone chime in. But the college football is so big in the South. The emotional trauma, to me, is going to far outweigh the risk on the field as far as what people are doing and, their emotional aspect of it. There's no other diversions in the South. It's college football. There's two sports in the South, football and spring football. And if they take that away, it is going to take a major, major move on the part of those conference commissioners to cancel college football. The Big Ten, the wussy Big Ten, I'm sorry, they're afraid of social media backlash. But the social media and fan backlash, if they don't play, is going to be bigger than if they do play, because they're not going to listen to anyone. The fans aren't going to listen to anyone outside of the South on this. They're going to stand firm. And I just think it's going to be it will take a major, major situation for the South not to play. Now, I'll open it up to anyone who wants to respond.
One player's death will end it. You hear me? They are not going to sacrifice a player. Even the South loves their sons, okay?
What are the odds of that happening? what are the odds of that happening? I think there's, and you know, Coach John, you know, unfortunately, we have players that have concussions and something, and you know, high school players, you know, it doesn't. Horrible, but you know, what else is happening?
It's 20.
Well,
it's 2020. Anything can happen.
Is the wrong question. I think the fact that you have 70% of these guys who've recovered have lung damage or heart damage. I mean, heart damage on a guy who could potentially graduate and make $100 million a year, $100 million contract. I mean, that's just as bad.
The sad thing.
Where's that stat from?
Where's what coming from?
Where's that stat from? What's 70%?
That's coming from the CDC and across the world. I mean, almost everybody that's had COVID, that's had symptomatic COVID, has had lung damage and has had heart damage. We don't know if that heart damage goes away in 3 months or 6 months or never. And that's the issue that I see, is that these guys, anybody who has gotten sick, is potentially damaged.
Here's the sad part: you really won't know for another year or two. What I mean by that is the guys that are playing in the Big 12. I mean, I live in Dallas, and you're right. Football is big. Our 5 and 6A programs. I coached at a 6A program years ago, and let me tell you, it is big. Those programs that are 5 and 6A in the state, they start in September. The state championship is in January, so they found a way to make it fit. They have 1A through 4A. They've already started, and their championship is typically the week before Christmas. So with the college aspect, SEC, Big 12, and the ACC, when these guys go through their draft protocol 2 years from now, that's, you know, you almost have to put a thumbnail in now and remember this, and then check this 2 years from now to see if it's, you know, if it's really going to be an issue. But you're right, Coach. I mean, if someone was to die, they would shut it down. But if that's not going to happen, we really won't know right now. I'm assuming we won't, because all of these programs are like bubbles. If these kids get sick, do you think they're going to go out their way and tell you that? I mean,
no.
And then you don't really know what it is at the time. At the time, football is a sport that moves very fast. It's one war every week, and you're looking for one major triumph at the end. And so they're going to go 14 to 12 to 16 weeks, and they probably will have some small modified bowl system. So these guys are so enclosed, you're not going to know.
Well, I just would hate to make the sacrifice because, you know, I'm 57 now. It takes you 15, 20 minutes just to think about getting up. And I only played a few years, right, and then get beat up every day.
Yeah.
I see some of my guys I catch up with, you know, my age. Rory Gray's one of my best friends. He's on a crutch and in a cane, and is just in so much pain. And you know, I'm a part of a Harvard study with head injuries, and
oh, really?
We have no idea. And again, I mean, I wasn't a star, but I played, right? And played at that level. And I feel it every day. My son got a full ride academic scholarship to Ohio State. And he said, Dad, should I go try out? And I said, I'm giving you 100,000 reasons not to. You have the scholarship. You're getting paid. Your parents love you. You'll find a girl. I mean, I had to play ball to find a girl. You know what I mean? So now I've already done that for you. So just go find someone who looks like your mother, and you're all right. And you will find one at Ohio State if you look. I did. But the reality is that these young men would do anything, and they'd go die. And people forget that football is a civilian warfare, right? We fight a war every week and we get past it, and not having war are going to affect a lot of people. But if the South can pull it off, congratulations. But I just honestly don't think they're going to be out there alone taking that risk, because like Coach said, 2-3 years down the road, when you have a class action suit from 7 or 8 players who are on the way to become NFL players, and now they have some organ failure problem and they can't pass a physical, you know, that's all I worry about. I'll be honest with you. I love the entertainment. It's hard for me to watch a game, all the way through unless we're just in command. But I just see some of the hits. They're bigger, they're faster, they're hitting each other and crushing each other. And then in the back of their mind, they got to worry about this invisible enemy that could just catch them, just walking across campus. I'm just telling you, man, even I went to West Point before Ohio State, and I was prepared to be an officer and be in the Army, and Ohio State was harder than the Army. Okay, and that's what I'm telling you. It's the Army was a breeze compared to what you have to do at Ohio State. So I know fans want it, but go talk to some of the kids, go have a lunch with them, tell some great stories, or play the game, because I don't see how you're going to set one group of players out there to be the guinea pigs for the other 100,000 players who aren't playing. I just don't see equity in that. And if the South does it, it's just going to cause a bigger rift between the North and the South, personally, in my opinion.
Well, that's a good point. What makes you think that you're at greater risk playing football than just walking around campus? I think you're at greater risk not playing football by going around and, socializing, and, college guys are college guys. Hey, by the way, I did not meet any girls. I carried a saxophone in the band. I did not so I played in a band and not a football team to try and find a girl, but there are a lot of pretty ones there. But anyway.
The best damn band in the land at Ohio State.
We were the $1 million band. We're the $1 million band. Well, I know one thing, dotting the I, was a great honor, and that's certainly a tradition that's going to be missed. But I just don't think the players are I think they're at less risk playing football than they are going around. And so what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're not going to be busy on Saturday. They're going to be going around chasing girls and stuff. And they're going to be at greater risk not playing football than they are actually playing football, in my opinion. I actually think it's kind of protecting them because they are in somewhat of a bubble.
Well, Coach Saban and Coach Day said, regardless, they're going to keep them in a bubble environment, and they're going to keep them safe, because if they do have the eligibility, and we're rated number 1 now, except for some of the pros who are going to be leaving, we'll pretty much be in that position next year, right? And we just have to plan for it. Again, I don't think this thing's going down, and I thought when it started in March, it wasn't. I held out hope. I did everything. I tried to run a business day to day based on this. LA County still has its malls shut down. How is UCLA and SC going to be able to play when you can't even go to a mall? You know what I mean? It's just incredible.
The stadium's outdoors. The malls are inside, and the Rose Bowl and the Coliseum hold 100,000 people. You could put 30, 40,000 people in there. Matter of fact, UCLA only gets about 30,000 people a game anyway, and that's for a good game.
Right.
That is not even an issue. If Dave Munoz is watching here, or UCLA guy, he's going to be like, hey. But so
no, but you're right. But when you think of normal society can't really operate in a normal fashion, and then football is, those non-football fans are going to say we're barbaric, and the football fans are going to say it's great, and we'll hold our breath for the kids. But I'm just telling you, I don't think it's going to go down the way we're hoping, because what are you going to have an asterisk in 2020 is the year when 12 teams played? Really? Your national championship?
Well, ACC and SEC alone can carry it. If one of those two drops out, I think the Big 12 is going to drop out. But I think, one conference isn't going to do it. Russ, you're pretty quiet over there. You got any
Well, I was just going to say
you're the silent guy that makes great points on occasion. So what's up?
Well, maybe this will be one of those occasions. Something's ringing.
Saban calling him.
Yeah. He said he agreed, by the way.
Well, I was thinking that there's going to be an asterisk for every sport. I mean, as you can see, I have a New York Yankees hat on, and if they win the World Series, it's awesome for me, but it's still kind of okay, they won, but they won with 60, 80 games or something like that.
They didn't earn it, in other words, is what you're thinking.
Well, they earn it, of course, unless you're the Houston Astros. But but you earn it in a different way. I mean, they're still playing the games and stuff like that, but like you have to play. You have to play the bowl games, and you have to play the certain rivalries. And if they're not going to be able to play those games, it just has to be an asterisk, regardless of who wins a national championship this year.
You know, Dabo came out.
I agree,
Dabo came
but
out and said
pros get paid a lot of money, right? And they'll
point.
take that risk. Football players get their education, maybe. The one thing that they were negotiating is even if they opt out, would they be able to keep their scholarships, right? So once that occurred, the players had a few more rights. And of course, the big smart schools said, yes, we will take care of you. But Stanford and some of those other ones said, football carries everything. We're not going to use our endowment, right, to cover everything else in Title I. So we'll shut it down. And then the Ivy Leagues did it, and they're supposed to be the smartest athletes in the country, right? So it's just a bad situation, but I think we stop and we restart in the spring. I just hate to say it, but that's what it's going to come down to.
And you think you can play a spring schedule and then go back 2 months later?
No, they're not. Look, stop and start spring ball for next fall.
Got it. So just skip the season entirely and forget this charade about trying to play in the spring.
Absolutely, because all you're doing is really just trying to keep money in people's pockets so that they can bet, right? They're not going to.
I can tell you, I don't bet on college football because I don't need any more incentive to watch Alabama play to win or any other teams ranked around Alabama to lose. You ought to see me on Saturday. I catch Lee Corso's headgear on game day, and then I start watching the games. Although, let's just face it, some of those 9 a.m. Big Ten games, I mean, Purdue and Northwestern don't excite me, but gets me in the mood. And then I'm watching games all day, up at different TVs and stuff, and going to the Bama bar and just making, as I'm sure most people do. I do want to change gears just slightly because Jeremy's on here and James has been to the College Football Hall of Fame. I want to make something positive here. Jeremy, tell us a little about the College Football Hall of Fame, what's there, what we can see. And James, you can chime in, and because you've been lucky enough to have been there. And I think everyone wants to. We're all college football fans, so I want to get a little, my energy pumped a little here by, some good old college football history and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the things is
I'll preempt Jeremy because he's got a lot more stuff than I could possibly.
Go for it.
I was going to preempt you and say that for anybody who has not been to the College Football Hall of Fame, I've been blessed to have been to a lot of sports halls of fame, whether it's the one up in Canton or the one down in Charlotte for NASCAR. And the College Football Hall of Fame is by far the best as far as actually telling a narrative story and really engaging the fans with technology as well as historic artifacts. So, Jeremy, you guys have done an absolutely amazing job down there, and it's definitely a jewel for anybody visiting Atlanta.
I really appreciate it. One of the things I just wanted to say, kind of what we were talking about, I don't like to pontificate on things I don't know everything.
Wow, what a word.
But one of the exciting things is this is the 151st year of college football, which, to take in consideration, that is like Civil War era type. We had college football. Did it look like it does now? Absolutely not. It looked kind of like soccer, a little bit like rugby. And I can just think back to 1905 when they made those sweeping rule changes that were going to destroy the game, the forward pass, the line of scrimmage, all of that. And I mean, I've gone through plenty of newspapers, all that quote unquote nonsense, the ruining the game, or the asterisks that would be considered for World War I, World War II. Even think about the 1 platoon era, 2 platoon era. I think when we look back on this, it's going to be one of the most ridiculous times in college sports and pretty much the world, I think. But I see it just being another part in the chapter of college football. Right now, it's very, very, I know it's hot topic, but I think it's minuscule, even in the longer story of college football. Being a Division III guy myself, I completely feel for those guys that this was the last season, and now it's time, as you said, Emmett, to go pro in something else. And I'm sure that'll always exist. But one of the cool things, and I'll dovetail into the College Football Hall of Fame. one of my favorite parts is we have 775 helmets on display. Every single team from Division I to NAIA. Part of my job is I get to rotate those logos every once in a while, and that's always fun. I am working on updating Alabama. I have to update their championships because I know.
Well, you anticipated my question, because Alabama has 17 national championships, and that's why you see when they get. Oh, come on, Emmett, they do. So
they do. It's okay.
They do.
You know, again, Ohio has contributed to that success, so it doesn't even matter.
Process one, but every year, so you see the helmet on ESPN and all that stuff. And Jeremy, I was just going to ask you that, because we'll give you the helmet, the PR department, SIDs, give you the helmet that says 16 on it, 17. Well, it's going to have to be an 18 and a 19 and a 20, all that stuff. So you actually update those. You update.
OH.
I have to, Jeremy. I mean, Emmett, when we're done here, after Jeremy answers my question, but I want to know what the heck you do to get the sticker, and what happens if you get so many stickers, your helmet's full. Do you peel them off and put new ones on? So let's get that in a minute. But Jeremy, if you could finish up.
No, absolutely. The amazing thing about the Hall of Fame is it's interactive. We have a 45-yard field goal, and a lot of times people have been there before. The exciting thing is we're always doing new things. We have a QB simulator now, and it's on another level. A lot of the pros train with it. It's just, you put that headset on, and you can pick everywhere from like PeeWee to the automatic. And it's funny because you got a lot of those Sunday and Saturday morning quarterbacks that think they're good, and all of a sudden they're ducking and flying away. They have a whole bunch of D linemen coming at them. So that's one of the really exciting things. But one of the things I love is we're storytellers. So we're always doing something new. We have the artifacts, but we also have interactives, things for every level of fan. I always like to say it's my mom test. And hi, Mom. I know she's watching right now. But I feel like she's definitely a sports fan. But if she's enjoying her time there and learning and really enjoying it, I think that it's just great for every level of fan. And that's one of the really things I love about the Chick-fil-A College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, there you go. I do PR too, so I like to get that sponsor thing. James, did you kick a 45-yard field goal?
One of the coolest things that, I didn't even try. I didn't want to embarrass anybody, but, because my buddies wanted to have their little call of glory, but one of the coolest things I thought that was the fact that when you first log in or first enter, they give you a fan badge. That fan badge has like an RFID chip in it, and so you have to program in what your favorite team is. And for my wife's benefit, I picked Kent State, and so when you wave it through the little podium at the beginning, it pops up a little light by the Kent State helmet, and then as you go through the museum, it pops up like you walk through the Hall of Fame area, and it shows you coaches that went to Kent State or players that went to Kent State, and there weren't a lot of lights in the Hall of Fame that lit up for Kent State, but there were a couple that it was kind of nice, because honestly, like if you go to Ohio State or Alabama, your guys, and it's but for a casual fan of maybe a smaller school, you can still go there and be like, hey, you know what, my school is still important, and I thought that was a really cool addition.
Absolutely. That's something I really love. And I had a lot of friends that they played ball in college, and I control the back end of some of those areas we curate. So when I can, I sneak their photos into while they were playing. That's always a fun little thing. I also have to give a shout out to Ohio. I was an intern at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. And
wow, you've had some plum jobs.
Oh yes, it's been
Ohio everywhere. I'm sorry, Alabama, you just can't beat it.
I was there in 2016. I was in Akron, so when LeBron brought that championship back to Cleveland, it was really something special, and so I always do have that appreciation for Ohio. I just wanted to let that be known.
Jeremy, wasn't the first College Hall of Fame, or one of them, was at Cincinnati, Ohio, at Kings Island once upon a time, right?
I've been there. I went to that one when it was Island. Yep.
Fun fact, I don't think I was born yet, but
it's okay, but you just need to know your history.
Right.
Just know that anything football is Ohio if it's worth anything?
Well, explain to me those stickers on the helmet.
Right now.
Okay, so those stickers are called Buckeyes, and every time you do a great thing in the game or in practice or whatever, it's kind of a reward from the coach saying, hey, you did something special. So obviously, when you're making big plays on Saturday, you're looking forward to the following week because you don't practice in the same helmet, right? You practice in a regular helmet.
Okay.
And then when you get your game helmet that week, you have additional hardware on it, right? Which is a Buckeye. And so your mom far away noticed you only had 3 the first game, and now you may have 10. So it's just an inside thing showing the alumni we've done something special, and it's that little reward, and it's such a sense of pride. You know, every school has its tricks. Every school has its has its legacy. I got a taste of Ohio State when I was 12 years old, a quarterback in Xenia, Ohio, and a friend of my grandfather's, a lodge brother, had a grandson who was playing at Ohio State, and my mother thought, why not get me tickets? And I went in, and Coach Hayes grabbed me, and he introduced me to Archie and Cornelius Green. And at 12 years old, I walked away, and my dad said, what are you talking about? And I said, I don't care what you think. I'm coming back here. I'm going to play. And this is just the best thing since sliced bread. And it's a lifestyle. And it's all of football, not just Ohio State, because when I go and I talk to a Division III player or someone in high school who's getting an opportunity to go to the next level, it does not matter. It's just going to the next level and being able to compete. Seeing yourself as one of 100 plus alpha males, and you're trying to get one of 22 positions. And it is just the ultimate, rite of passage. First to get on the team, and then to play, and then to make it through, and then try to win a championship. And every year in Columbus, you have a chance for the national championship. So again, as much as that's going to hurt these kids this year, I think they just have to prepare. We have to stay close to their mental health and get them through.
Do you think it's going to affect recruiting?
Hold up your necklace, because then the audience didn't see that before the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go, 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 go.
Tell the audience what those represent.
So our alumni years ago realized, and back then Michigan used to win all the time, right? Not like now, if anyone out there is looking. But back in the day, they decided that we put on our pants the same way Michigan puts on their pants. So this is a symbol of us being a football player, putting on our pants just like the Mighty Blue back in the day. And I don't know what they do, because they probably haven't got anything like ours in years. But I was on a plane one time flying back from Columbus, and one of the flight attendants said, what is that around your neck? There's a set of those in about 3 aisles up. So we all jump up, we get together, give each other hugs. And there were literally 4 guys on the plane that had gold necklaces, right? And one guy had 4. So we all bowed down. We had a little pants envy that day, but it is a true pleasure. It's an honor. And, even years afterwards, I lost a pair. I went back to Columbus kind of crying, and they said, go down to the jeweler and get yours done. And they got them done, and they put my initials in them because each one has a cast, and they keep those casts from years. So maybe you ought to get that, Jeremy, down there at your Hall of Fame.
There you go. Well, we've been about an hour right now. I think if anyone else has anything else to say, we'll go around, top to bottom. And John, you have something called, you can explain a little bit about, what it is with the Quarterback Equalizer. That's something you're working on. Maybe you can give us a little background on, give you a chance to get a little PR plug in there. So let's go around the horn. Jack, let's start with you. Russ, Emmett, John, and Jeremy, we'll let you bring it home to a touchdown in the South. So go ahead, Jack.
Well, Well, basically, I guess I have a reason to wear that Alabama hat I bought in Tuscaloosa last year.
Yes, you did, and you like Bama now when you didn't like Bama before.
Right. I love hating on Alabama just for obvious reasons, but
there was a particular co-ed, a Zeta co-ed, with a blonde and a little white skirt that captured all of us on the first night there. Madison, right?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking very clearly the rest of the weekend, and I actually bought an Alabama ball cap, and so this will give me an excuse to wear it. And I mean, if Ohio State's not playing, I guess I could probably root for another team. Alabama. It's hard to say, but
that's the difference between the fans and the players.
What's
right?
that?
Fans have this built-in hate. The
Yeah.
players has a built-in respect for each team we play.
That's true.
And our whole lives, I was taught to hate Michigan. And I never hated Michigan because I loved the colors and I respected them and I simply wanted to beat them.
Right.
But it wasn't hate. The fans, that's it. I mean, it hurts them to put on an Ohio or an Alabama hat. I would put one on because I just want to show respect to coach.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair. That's fair. I have a very good friend that I went to college with who's from Michigan, and we have I did not attend Ohio State, but we both attended a small university, and she's a big Michigan fan, and I have just worlds of respect for her, and we have this great rivalry that we look forward to about Ohio State, Michigan every year, and it's all about smack talk, and her birthday was last week, and she's like, no smack talk on my birthday. I'm like, fair enough, and and that, like, you can't enjoy that Ohio State-Michigan rivalry without the respect of the team and where everybody's come from on each side and that sort of thing. And and I don't hate Alabama. I will actually look forward to watching them this year because there's really nothing else to do. So,
I want to bet on this call if they play or not.
What's that?
I want to bet on this call who thinks they're going to play or not.
All right, no money. It has to be something not material, but something more than you putting on an Alabama hat for me because you're down here in San Diego area. But,
not a problem. I'll send you an Ohio State just for playing.
Well, we'll have to come up with something that that's not money, but something to make. I like that idea. Yeah, some thing we have to do. Russ, the wisdom of Russ. Do you have any final words?
Well, a couple final words. Someone is going to play this year. I don't know who, but someone is going to play for a couple games at least. That's my bet. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so even if they're not winning, I can at least still watch. At least I could still watch Rudy, so I still get some wins out of that. And my college football Hall of Fame experience was actually when I went to I usually go down to the Super Bowl, and they opened up the College Football Hall of Fame for a couple events and parties, and I got to see the inner sanctum of the College Football Hall of Fame, and it was just really cool to see what they can do for outside parties and what it is itself. It's a really great location too, because I haven't been to many Hall of Fames, but like if you go to the Basketball Hall of Fame, it's in the middle of nowhere. At least with the College Football Hall of Fame, that you when you go into it and when you leave, there's other stuff to experience and do. So it was a really cool place to be. But my bet is that someone is going to play this year. Will we finish?
Okay, here's a bet. We come back on the show, and if I'm correct, you Ohio State people have to sing the Alabama fight song. If I'm incorrect, then I will sing the Ohio State fight song. And I don't know how we'll dot the I somehow, but we'll figure something like that out. I mean, is that a good bet? I don't know what John and Jeremy and Russ and James might do, but matter of fact, we'll all have to sing it. It will depend on what side they're on. So how does that sound as a little bet?
I'm down for whatever.
I'm on the side of the alcohol sponsors.
James is Mr. Get Alcohol for a normal Tuesday virtual happy hour show. We got 4 bottles of Bacardi delivered to us, to me, to James, to our personal bartender, to our pub club aunt Ashley, who's on. So we had 16 bottles plus 2 to our singer. So we had like 20 bottles of Bacardi delivered, thanks to James's good connections. And we had a show on the National Run Day, which is actually tomorrow. So you can go on our virtual happy hour and watch that show. We also had a really good one, by the way, non-drinking with Mario Andretti and Allison Jr. a couple weeks, actually a week ago, that we did for the History of Long Beach Grand Prix. So we're pretty varied here, but we do like to have our spirits on occasion. John, can you explain to me, and maybe James can throw up the link, exactly what your quarterback?
Absolutely. So
there we go.
So being a coach, man, of 26 years, coaching quarterbacks 24 and having all these multiple experiences, my wife convicted me years ago to gamify how I teach quarterbacks. And so I've learned from some really good guys. My first experience in the NFL was with Peyton Manning in the quarterback room with Jim Caldwell and Frank Reich. It changed my life, and it kind of helped me understand that there are a lot of young guys that don't have the necessary fundamentals at that early age. Like Emmett was a young quarterback. I would have loved to have given the quarterback equalizer to Emmett. So the current version of the tool that we have is just a beta version. We're working on currently right now developing the final product for the winter of next year, and we're going to sell this product to high schools and small colleges because their price point, they can afford something like this. So it'll allow coaches to be able to customize their game plans and prepare their quarterback. So the way the game plays is you're a quarterback, you go into a classroom, I'm teaching you coverages, helping you identify what defenses are doing. And then you go into a gameplay. And so it's an IQ tool. It's not Madden. I'm not trying to be the next Madden. What I want to do is, as a coach, because that's my conviction, is to teach you, to give you the fundamentals that you need. So what do you need to know about cover 3? Cover 3 is a zone defense. It's 3 deep in coverage. And so if a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old can learn the game early and understand the principles of coverages, they'll execute a whole lot faster, and more than likely they'll be safer on the field because they know where to get the ball. They know how to get it out on time because they understand those mechanisms. If it was 2 elephants in the middle of the field, that means there's 2 deep safeties. And if one elephant came down and one went deep, it's just one high safety look. It's probably 3 deep. It could be a zone coverage. And so in the game or in the tool, I teach you coverages in a classroom environment. You go into a gameplay mode. You pick your play like you would in a typical football video game. You drop back the pass. And when you get to the top of your drop, you have to identify what the coverage is. And so these are cues that quarterbacks have to learn at younger ages. And sometimes they don't get that. So by the time they get to high school, they're usually behind. And so I just wanted to be able to provide some access to young guys to prepare them. Our next tool, like I said, this is just a beta. It's going to have a few more things in it. So I would love to come back on when we drop that so you can see it. But I definitely would love for you to play the current version because I do think it helps guys really understand the fundamentals of the game before they get on the field.
So we can go to the website now and play it, or and
you can go to the website, and the website will take you to the Apple Store or the Google Store, and you can download the beta version of the game right now. And
okay.
There's a free version. The only thing you pay for in the game is the virtual coach, and then there are coverage packages, so you get to learn all man coverages, all zone coverages, combination coverages, or you can get 25 coverages for one price. And you keep the coach. It's not a subscription or anything. You get to learn from him for as long as you want.
Do you get Saban?
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I would love to have you back on and do a demo specifically talking about
Absolutely.
that. I think that's a pretty cool idea, especially if we end up not having a season this year, to let these guys man up on their skills and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll give us something to do.
Feel free to share my information. I've
Appreciate
got
it.
a lot of great coaches out here that I know. John Bosco is in the town of my
Excellent.
Sylvan Learning Center. So,
Perfect.
I'm right in the middle of LA. I'll be glad to help you, any of you, with anything. Jack knows. Just give me a call because all of this, and as we learned as an athlete, especially me as a quarterback, I had Woody Hayes, I had Coach Bruce, I had Jim Trussell. It's all about having a servant's heart. And Coach, I can see your dedication just looking at you right now, and I'd like to help you because I have a couple friends like Lamar Arrington and Coach Barnes who are involved with the NFL Network out here.
Okay.
And we've tried to raise money for them so that they'd have opportunities. But I'm a big technology guy.
Excellent.
So any way I might be able to help you with that, or and I have, I'm a part of a 700 group of Sylvan Learnings centers where we're helping parents. And what we're trying to do is I'm specifically trying to help athletes so they have a way to get out, right, of the LA, South Central area and South LA. So, Coach, I'll be glad to help you any way I can.
No, I appreciate it.
And put it down our network,
Absolutely.
I think Herb Street's the only one that made it, right? Because he's going to go to Monday Night Football. He kind of knew that college football wasn't going to here. I had a chance to meet with him in February. It was really, really, really cool seeing how much we dominate. We being Ohio State on the ESPN and all, and now Monday Night Football. But, Chris Carter was the teammate and, watching all these guys do our thing. But you guys, I really feel honored to be here with you guys today to talk about Ohio State. But I also want parents to know that if they want their kids to have an opportunity, they really have to be on top of their grades. Right now, it is too much competition, and a lot of people slept at the wheel during this COVID thing. And in some cases in LA, almost a third of the kids didn't even log on to distant learning. So how are you going to go to the next level in life if you don't have education from where you are now, right? You have to master where you are now to get to the next level. True. So all these parents who are betting on football, they need to bet on academics as much as they do sports, And then you people down south can say, okay, we can look at the science and maybe bow out for a year. We're going to be okay. And come back next year stronger than ever. And football's not going to miss a beat. It's $1 billion industry. It's not going to stop because of a COVID, right? The whole world has stopped. We're going to keep going and moving forward with football right now. I just think it's going to be a bad look, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy, any final words on the Hall of Fame? Let's look at it downtown Atlanta. I'm sorry, James.
So I feel like I keep talking over you. I apologize, Jeremy, but my wife had a question for Emmett and Jack. She had a cousin that played at OSU. She thinks from 1980 to 1983. His name was Ray Myers.
I know Ray. He was a fullback with me, like an older brother.
Okay.
Left about 83. So yeah, I know Ray, and tell her good people already. See, I'm telling you, we're everywhere. We're like a grateful kid.
Hey, I may not be a huge fan, I guess since I went to Penn State, I can't be a fan at all of the Ohio State. But I love Ohio. Ohio's a great state.
We forgave you for coming into the Big Ten and embarrassing us with Joe Paul. So it's all good. You're here. We allow you to be here. We love your coach. I love him. I mean, the Big Ten, it made it better, right?
Yeah.
So you're part of Penn State. Just celebrate Big Ten. We know you're not going to like Ohio State. We've been on top too long. It's okay.
Oh, buddy. He warned me he was Mr. Ohio, big Ohio State. When I talked to him on the phone earlier today.
Yeah, but it's like family, though. At the end of the day, if it was any other Big Ten team versus any other, let's say, whatever team, I'm still going to support the Big Ten team no matter who it is.
That's right.
Right.
Look, I celebrate all of the Big Ten now. I just feel I have to because it's almost 36 years we've been involved in this. Okay, so I'm 57. Go back to 12 years old. The Big Ten's been everything. And Coach Bruce was tied to everyone. Coach Hayes was tied to everyone. Even Notre Dame, had Lou Holtz. He was a Buckeye. So any decent program has had Ohio State somewhere or near it if it's successful. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'll tell you what, as an SEC guy, I would like to give you South Carolina and Arkansas which have contributed absolutely nothing to the SEC since they joined in the early 90s. So, South Carolina won a baseball and Arkansas won a basketball. That's all they've contributed. So if the Big Ten wants to take those two schools, I would say have at it. So, Jeremy,
we have Purdue. We have Purdue.
Purdue,
we have
which, by the
Rutgers.
way, Purdue has the incredible ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Because how many times have they almost beat Notre Dame or Michigan or Ohio State, and then there's no way they're going to lose this game. But of course, you say they're going to lose this game. And I remember one a couple years ago against Ohio State because I was rooting for Purdue because of the rankings and stuff. And somehow, I don't know what Purdue did, but they somehow lost the game. They let a 10-point lead with 30 seconds to go or something and lost.
Because Ohio State
I
is
knew you were
about
gonna say that.
par. Purdue is engineers. They're trying to logically figure out how they're going to beat the emotional bad boys at Ohio State. It's just the way it is.
Thankfully we don't have a drinking game going on. Anytime
Oh my
Ohio State
God,
is
hi,
mentioned,
Bob.
you have to take a shot. We would be done.
He doesn't say much, but what he says is good. All right, Jimmy, real quick, the College Football Hall of Fame is located in downtown Atlanta and hours and days of the week. And are you going to be holding anything special this fall if there is no football, or what's the scoop?
Absolutely. Well, first, Russ, thank you for the shout out about the event space. That's our bread and butter. We really do love hosting events, and even with everything going on, we're always still trying to get events there. Obviously, we're able to make it safe, and that's just one of the things we really love to do. One of the things is we're open Friday to Monday right now, currently, all throughout the weekend. And we are just excited to get people back in the door. College football is back, especially downtown Atlanta. Going with everything, I'm just so fortunate to have the respect for the game. Yes, I do have some biases towards certain teams rather than others, but just being the storyteller of college football, it's one of the most rewarding things I can do. Now you get me on the pro level. I mean, I'm going to talk about the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers, and I might forget some of the Vikings and the Chicago Bears, and we always feel bad for Detroit, But just one of those really fun things.
Jeremy, we have about 6,000 Buckeyes in Atlanta. Get a hold of me. Let's throw a party and let the Hall of Fame
There you go.
deal with the largest living alumni in the world, and Jack and I will come down, and I've got about 7 to 10 alumni there in Atlanta. We'll help you out. Get the word out, man.
We'll be in conversation, definitely, Emmett.
Yeah, send me an email, man. I love everything everyone's doing, honestly, because at 57, I'm going back next year for a 40th class reunion. And if you guys need anything in the Midwest or anything here in California, I'll be glad to help you any way I can.
Absolutely.
Man, Jack, thanks for bringing Emmett on. What a great guy. Even though you're a little over the edge of Ohio State, and
Thanks for bringing me on.
Jeremy, but what a great guy.
Yeah.
But Kevin, you asked me, I said, look, I could come on and just be a father of a Buckeye and still have as many stories, or just being a student or bringing in my beautiful family. I mean, it still would have taken over because the subject is football, and you asked two guests from Ohio. James had an Ohio connection. Jeremy has an Ohio connection. John wishes he did, or probably when he looks, we'll find one.
Hey, I was with the Browns at one time, so yeah.
Oh, close enough, brother. Close enough. We spent a little bit of time. But the Browns, are our little brothers,
And Kevin has once been in Ohio.
I went to Mid-Ohio when I was doing my motorsports PR. I've been to Mid-Ohio. Matter of fact, I was coming over a hill, headed to somewhere near Lexington, and came over a hill and nearly had a crash out because at the bottom of the hill was an Amish, little thing. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Wow.
But I went
They know about horsepower.
They make good food, and it sticks to your bones. I mean, I'm telling you, they can build.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Bucks, which is near Mid-Ohio.
Great furniture.
And, I think 20 of us PR people ate there, and the bill was $80-something. And we're like, well, we asked a waitress to come over. Will you please look at this bill? There's got to be something wrong with it. And she's like, well, you had shots and beers and stuff, and those things were expensive. We're like, no, $80 bill.
It's not too much. It's too little.
It's like,
But that-
no, that's the opposite.
That's Ohio.
Are you sure you didn't leave anything behind? So yeah, I always got some good stuff. By the way, I want to throw out Jack. Uber Jack is where to find him in Columbus, Ohio, and he's a fantastic photographer. He's a great fashion photographer. He shot a lot of stuff at the Long Beach Grand Prix with us. The beach volleyball stuff that we did for Pub Club, and of course, you went to Pub Club Live down in Tuscaloosa and got some great photos of the great scene down there, the tailgate, the party, the $1 Million Band, and of course the Zeta co-ed girls, which I can't leave out. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, that's on pubclub.com. I'll still write about college football on pubclub.com. You can read it, you can like it, you can comment. But I love that we got this all together here, folks. James, Man Tripping, really helped put this together. So I really want to thank James for being an integral part of this, and everyone else. And I definitely want to come back and do it again in a few weeks. Let's see if anything's different. And, if they're playing, you guys got to sing "Yay Alabama." And if they're not, then I'll sing whatever the Ohio State fight song is.
Well, you're right down the road. I'll
I know.
have you sing at our wineries, with a couple drinks and a couple of those wino ladies around you, and bring your family up, and we'll drink Temecula wine.
James is all of that. We actually featured Visit Temecula on one of our virtual happy hour shows. So,
well, let's go.
Is that
I
where
am.
you
I'm
are,
in
Temecula?
Okay.
Well, we should meet up there and socially distance, but share some stories in person that we can't.
Well, you guys can come in my backyard, and we'll do okay. Don't worry about it. Keep my information, and you guys, we're friends for life. Jeremy, anything I can do to help you, let me know. I have Rory Graves down there, a bunch of Buckeyes, ex-Raiders, and football Hall of Fame
Raider
lovers.
Nation.
My coach Wayne Stanley got inducted.
Okay. Yeah, quarterback Kenny the Snake Stabler from the University of Alabama. And I'm going to close out by saying "Roll Tide." So roll Tide, roll. What's the
Roll Tide?
Roll Tide. There you go. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Good luck in your abbreviated season, and be thankful the Big Ten pulled out, so you got a better chance.